Okay guys, welcome back to day 2 of the January live sale. So hopefully you're able to tune in to the first part. That was yesterday. We did about 75 corals. Today we're going to do a little bit more than 75, but we will see how far we get. And a little bit different than yesterday's is that we're going to have some corals that are actually multiples. So the first one you're going to see is kind of like the what you see is what you get. But then after that, it's going to be just multiples that are very, very, very similar, practically indistinguishable from those. So yesterday, we kind of messed up a little bit of the audio, so the first 5 minutes of it was kind of cut off where I initially explained the rules. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So here's kind of how this works. We're broadcasting live to YouTube right now, and you can participate in the live chat through YouTube. Now, if you want to also participate in the sale itself, you can open up TidalGardens.com in a separate window, and there's a live sale link on the left, and you can see some of the corals that didn't sell yesterday. Those will be the 1 to 75, that range. And then today we're going to be starting with coral number 76. And you may notice that some of the corals from 76 on are gone. Some folks actually bought some corals completely sight unseen. So congratulations to those courageous folks. Who knows what they're going to end up getting. Anyway, let's, I guess, get this thing going. The first coral up, number 76, is a Cobalt Duncan coral, I believe. Teal Duncan. It's $35. It's got about 4 polyps, 2 of which are kind of closed right now. Okay, and already some people are filing into chat. Thanks for the feedback. It's always good to know that the audio is working. Okay, next coral, number 77. These are $1 Jack Frost Palythoas. I don't know how many of these are left currently because I know somebody bought a few of them. But these are just $1. If you're looking just to start any tank and just looking for something inexpensive just to try your hand at corals, there really isn't anything better to start with than these. They're practically unkillable and they're inexpensive. Next, coral number 78 is a Kenya tree. Also very, very beginner friendly. This particular piece is about 3 inches all the way around. Yeah. Another beginner friendly coral. This is only $5, so another one that you can just experiment with if you're just looking to fill space. Next coral up is 79. This is a green Rhodactis. Okay, that's number 79. Coral number 80 is one of our acans. This one in particular, it's kind of a brownish green color. We expect it to change substantially in the next coming months here. You've probably heard me say it a bunch of times, but Acropora tend to be kind of temperamental, especially in the summertime, and it takes them a while to regain full coloration. But what is nice to see about this particular one is that it's got pretty incredible polyp extension. It almost looks like a Montipora, which is kind of known to be very furry, but this is a different variety altogether. Next coral up here, item number 81 is Pulsing Xenia. This is the Red Sea variety, the quote-unquote Red Sea variety. We have a ton of this growing, so we're looking to thin it out just a little bit. We have 10 of these available, at least when we first started this, and they are $10. So if you hear me pause like that, it's me just kind of trying to keep up with chat just a little bit more. I like to try to stay on top of that, just so Ben doesn't have to frantically type all the answers out. Okay, after the Xenia, we're going to be looking at some pink and gold Palythoas. This guy's number 82. Under different lighting, you're going to get very dramatically different results with this particular coral. Right now they're more on the gold side, but in other tanks where we've hit them with a lot more light, they actually develop a lot of pink highlights with kind of like the gold speckles. Okay, moving on. We have item number 83. These are purple death Palythoas. This is a slightly larger grouping than we had yesterday, I believe, if I recall correctly. This guy has probably close to a dozen polyps on it. Oh, and I forgot to mention previously about the pink and gold Palys, we actually have 5 of those available. Okay, so moving on, we're going to take a look at the blue and green Sympodium. That's item number 84. And yes, Sarah Bauman is asking, is there going to be more trivia questions and giveaways? And there are. We're going to have just 2 today. We had 3 yesterday, and actually that's probably the most difficult thing that we have to do here is coming up with trivia questions. It's literally stuff that we put off until the very, very last minute. We have no idea what to ask people that's interesting or even tricky, that it has a single answer that's correct. It's, for some reason, we always get stumped on that. Next item, number 85. I think this is a Sunset Monty. Yep, Sunset Monty for $15. Next up, item number 86 is a green Mini-Maxi. It looks very much like a mushroom, but this is one of our solid green guys. We get a lot of requests for Mini-Maxis, and we have plenty of them, but actually isolating them and photographing them is very, very challenging, because once we kind of put them into our photography tank, they kind of just run around a little bit. And it's weird because they're typically very sedentary. Where you put them is where they stay, except when we're trying to take pictures of them. So sometimes when you see our low inventory for specifically Mini-Maxi and enemies, that's why. So we have this guy, number 86, if you're looking for a green Mini-Maxi. And then number 87, we have his friend, which is his purple Mini-Maxi. And so the green guy was 20, and this purple is 30. And if you guys on chat have any questions, by all means, just throw it in there. I'm actually paying some halfway decent attention to chat this time around. Alright, so that was 87. Item number 88 is a Frogskin Acropora. These guys are coloring up fairly nicely. It's it takes a little while, but they develop a really cool kind of a green sheen, and then later in the winter even they develop a much richer color. This is a fairly small frag though. It's a little bit less than an inch, but there are multiple branches. 89 is a red and green Blastomussa merletti. So Puffer Mike is asking, have you tried the gyre? I think is that how it's pronounced, or is it Giri? For some reason that word does not work with me. But it's that new pump by who makes that pump? Chat, help me out. I forget. I have not tried it. I did see it at Macna though. We tend to actually use a lot less flow than what is probably healthy for the corals. Max Spect. There we go. Alright, next coral. That was the Blastomussa. This is a green Pavona. Item number 90. Yep, this guy's just $5. Gyre. Gyre like sire. Gotcha. Alright, I gotta move my camera rig 1 sec. Okay, so this is item number 91, which is our purple orchid zoanthids for $15. One thing that I did notice, speaking of that new pump, is it was very, very, very strong to the point that it was moving its own magnet. So I don't know if anybody else has had that issue, but I did see how on its higher settings, it's actually forceful enough to scoot along your tank if it's not kind of braced. Alright, next item, number 92, is another Purple Death Palythoa. This has even more polyps on it. It has at least, looks like 15, 20. Yeah, when it comes to like power heads and stuff, I guess I'm really old school. I just use a lot of tunsies and stuff like that. Next coral up, 93, is an acro. This guy's well on his way to developing 3 colors, so I'm kind of optimistic with how this one's going to turn out. Okay, number 94 is our greenbird's nest. This is one of our $1 corals. And I don't know if we have multiples of these, but I have a feeling that this one might have been the ones that sold out very, very quickly. $1 corals typically do. Next up, number 95. It's not this plain white rock, it's this guy. He's kind of closed right now, but if you recall from yesterday's, this is one of those blue polyped Gorgonians. It's a non-photosynthetic, so you're going to have to make sure to feed it very small pieces of zooplankton and phytoplankton. It's going to be kind of species specific as far as the type of system that it's going to do well in. So kind of keep that in mind before you buy any non-photosynthetic coral. They don't get anything from the light. You have to provide all the nutrients yourself. And with that comes managing all the nutrients that you're going to be putting in. So you have to really beef up your filtration and whatnot. But if you do, you get corals like this. And you don't see too often stuff that has that bright blue look to it. So this is definitely a cool piece, and we have 4 of them available at $25. That was number 95. Number 96 is a purple Bonsai Acropora. We've got a couple of these available. So this is, I would say, 3/4 inch frag that's nicely encrusted at its base. And I'm just going to quickly scoot to the next one over, number 97, which is also a purple bonsai. 96 was 15, and 97 is also 15. And I skipped the trivia question already. I messed up. So, alright. Trivia question number 1. On Twitter, tell me what is the scientific name of this fish. Tweet at us at Tidal Gardens, #TGLive. And the first person to answer correctly, and I want the scientific name, not the common name, is going to win some Coral RX. Alright, hope you guys all had some time to process that and get your Google foo on. And we shall move on now. Looking at now coral number 98. It's our neon green candy cane. I'm going to go quickly check Twitter myself to see if anybody's got it. I'll check a little later as well. And yes, spearfishing RI are all the trivia questions on Twitter. Yes. We have a very small Twitter following, so I want some more folks to get engaged on Twitter. Alright, so that was number 98, our candy cane. Number 99 is red mushroom. Red Discosoma, this guy's $10. Scoot the camera here just slightly so you might be able to see it a little bit better. We're making really good time this evening. I have less storytelling today, I guess. I saved it all for yesterday. Number 100 is an orange Discosoma. And actually, before I continue past coral number 100, I'm going to go back to coral number 95, which is the Gorgonian, because the Gorgonian is actually cooperating a little bit more, and you can see his polyps. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know why he was closed up. Something must have came and spooked him. There are fish in this tank that can be jerks, so it's entirely possible that something ruffled its feathers. Alright, so I hear that somebody might have won our little Twitter contest. And the first person was Sarah, I believe? No. Yes. Sarah Bauman. Congratulations, you won some Coral RX. Okie doke. So we were at coral number 100. I'm going to slide along and get to 101. We've got a white bubble coral. So yeah, this bubble coral is $40. And just for you guys that are late arriving, if you're unfamiliar with how these live sales work, there is a section of TidalGardens.com specifically for live sales. And you can head there and see a numbered list of all of these corals. Don't know their names, but you can see the number and the price. And you can just check out just like normal. The best way that I've kind of seen people participate in this live show is to watch it on YouTube so you can participate in chat, and then also have Tidal Gardens open if they want to actually make purchases. So in order to finalize the purchase, you actually have to check out. It's not good enough just to leave it in your cart. That doesn't save the coral for you or anything. And once you're done purchasing, shipping is a $39.99 flat rate, but it's free for orders over $250, and you can buy both corals that are just regularly on the site as well as the live sale items to try to get to that $250 if that's what you're looking to do. When you're checking out coral by coral, there's like a live sale shipping option, which is basically $0. But at the very end, you kind of have to purchase the $39.99 shipping module in order to actually have it sent to you. So that's kind of, long story short, how this works. Each time that we do this, we try to add more and more corals. Okay, so that guy was coral 101, the bubble. Next up is 102. This guy is one of our Rhodactis. Puffer Mike is trying to figure out why we can't seem to make bacteria work, or I should say carbon dosing work. Yesterday I had mentioned that we're no longer currently experimenting with carbon dosing. I was putting in some vodka in the tank. Just very, very small amounts, like less than 5 milliliters, and we were getting some STN in some of our SPS, so we just kind of stopped for the time being. Okay, so this guy was number 102, 103. Here's our Lucifer Palythoas. These guys are sweet. They're actually one of my favorite of the zoanthids that have like that red color. Kind of like red with a purple ring and a purple slash through it. And these guys right now are only 15. We typically charge quite a bit more than that on site and online on our regular site, so I don't expect those to last too long at $15. Next up, number 104. Got my microphone cable stuck. Is our Cobalt Favites. And next up, 105. These are radioactive dragon eyes. pretty common, but also very popular. It's always funny, like people seem to always kind of get down on stuff like Xenia, get down on stuff like Eagle Eyes and Radioactive Dragon Eyes because they are very common. They absolutely sell like hotcakes. So, I mean, there's definitely like a crowd out there that just loves these types of corals. They're inexpensive and they're extremely colorful and healthy. Alright, I gotta move the entire camera rig, so one sec. Item number 106 is the Hills Have Eyes Chalice. So J. Gibb is asking if the Favites encrusts as it grows. Kind of. Not so much as something like a Montipora that's going to like completely hug the rock that it's on, but it's going to kind of stay towards the substrate, but also kind of dictate its own shape as well. Okay, next up, item number 107 is another Discosoma here. Teal Discosoma for $5. Yeah, so somebody was asking Ben if he had any home aquariums, and he actually, when he started working here, he took down about 20 aquariums at his apartment, and actually I don't have any home aquariums either. So between the two of us, we have 0 aquariums. It turns out it's just one of those things that's just not missing from our lives. Okay, moving on, item number 108. It's another one of our Discosomas here. 108 is our orange for $10. And Goofy 30, yes, that's correct. It's $1 for the chalice, if it's still available. Item number 109. These guys are green people eaters. They may be Palythoas, they may be zoanthids. I don't really know. They're probably zoanthids, but I've heard them called Palythoas more times than not. We kind of discussed that in yesterday's cast, but when it comes to taxonomy, identifying corals is one of the most difficult things you can possibly imagine. You're looking up really old texts from the early 1900s, even the 1800s, with super general descriptions. Very little genetic information out there right now. Yeah, so these may be zoanthids, probably. But I'm sure many of you have heard of purple people eaters or green people eater Palythoas, and you might even have seen it on our site, as it's stated that way. We are not taxonomists.
Alright, next up, item number 110.
This is a really cool thing that we got from a friend of mine, Nathan. His tank is actually featured on the channel, on the YouTube channel, twice. So you can kind of see all the different corals that he's got going on. This is called a freak hair Pavona. It typically takes like a deep purple base in color, and then has like almost a lime green tentacle. This guy's a really, really tiny, like half-inch frag, but it's one of the corals that does grow very quickly. And we've got to scoot one more time. One sec. Next up is 111. This is a Rainbow Monty. Moving on, 112. $112 is our neon green Favites for 25. Okay. Item number 113 is a Jack-o'-lantern Leptosiris. This guy is a small frag, about a half inch, for $40. These guys used to be for this size, $80 to $100. And when we originally got these colonies, we were selling them not much bigger than this for close to $250. So $40 is a pretty steep discount over what they used to be. Moving on, 114. This, I believe, is a War Coral Favites for 15. Next up, 115, or 115? Yeah, 115. Losing my ability to count, you guys. This cold has finally gotten to me. It's a pink Palythoas for $10. Young Slick is wondering how much did he miss? So far, I would say, what, 60 corals or something? Have we gone that far? No, I can't count either. 30? Something like that? 40 corals. It's okay, there's always the rebroadcast. Alright, next up, 116. Earlier we were talking about how difficult it is to find things that are blue, and it's even more difficult to find that blue show up in zoanthids. So this is why I really always like these guys, the deep blue seas. Sometimes you see some people call something blue and it's really kind of like a greenish at best. There is no other descriptor for this other than blue. Okay, next up, 117. It's our first Scully of the live sale. I don't think we've done a Scully already, have we? Well, technically we did one yesterday. I guess the first Scully of today's episode. So the guy was 117. We might make a comeback to one of these Scullies and show you some feeding later. 118. Is our pink Bikini Palys. Also more likely a Zoa, but close enough, I guess. $15. Alright, next up, 119. What are these called? The Sentinel Palys, $5. Okay, 120. Moving on. This is one of our red Monty Caps. Fairly small frag, but if any of you guys have ever had Montipora Capricornus before, they have explosive growth rates, so this thing can absolutely take up a corner of your tank in no time at all. Does Than do autographs? Haha, just kidding. Yeah, you're kidding, except that it's actually happened before. People have asked for autographs in the mail, and yes, I have sent autographed photos. Item number 121. The heck is this? 121, Gorilla Nipple Zoas for 15. Next up, 122. They are Black Eye Palys, $10. Next up, 123. A green Pavona. Yeah, it looks like that Leptocyrus had sold very, very quickly. I guess there's a lot of jockeying trying to get that particular frag. They're hard to come by at that price, definitely. Alright, that was 123. 124. Sky Blue Hydnophora. Kind of have to be careful when placing Hydnophora because they are one of the more combative SPS. So if you kind of stick them too close to like an Acropora or a Montipora, it's probably going to get into a stinging fight and it's probably going to win. So you kind of have to give them some room to itself. They don't have anything in the way of sweeper tentacles that I've seen, but just their ability to nuke something that they touch is pretty outstanding. So you kind of have to be careful of that. Okay. Scooting the camera again. Item number 125 is another purple bonsai. This guy's 15. Next up, 126 is one of our small chalice frags. This is our Strawberry Fields, it's 25. We haven't had too many chalices so far. We had the $1 Hills Have Eyes, and I'm not remembering any others up to this point. But this is Strawberry Fields, 126. 127 is Rainbow Montipora. Okay. Moving on, we got 128. This is a purple Montipora Confusa. Also $20. 129. This is one of the more interesting guys. It's our Sapphire Snowflake Rhodactis. It's got these kind of odd bubble-like growths on its face, and the bubbles themselves are like a sky blue color. We sell this guy for about 50 on our site. However, we are at 25 for the live sale, so 50% off. I know there's some folks out there are really into rare and unusual mushrooms. This kind of qualifies. That was item number 129. 130 is a green Montipora Digi. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of heads up if you want to participate in the trivia. After coral number 135, we're going to do the second trivia question. So if you guys need to register with Twitter, now's the time. Alright, 131. It's another Rhodactis. So this is one of our purple Tonga bullseyes for 20. Puffer Mike asks, anything with the Digi title, is it always branching? I think so. All the Montipora digitata, typically, all the ones I've ever seen have been branching. Okay, that was item number 131. 132 is a quite large pearl bubble coral. This guy is a good 4 inches or so when he's fully extended. So if you're looking for kind of like an LPS colony, this is a good place to start. Green in color. Okay, so that was 132, the pearl bubble. So that, yeah, I didn't mention the price, it's $50, but you can probably see that in the overlay as well. 133 is another Strawberry Fields chalice. The first one's a little difficult to see. This one might be a bit easier to see the color and the texture. $134 is our Jade Palythoas. So these guys, I am very confident are Palys. Don't ask me why, but I would never confuse that for a zoanthid. This guy is actually kind of funny because originally when we got them, somebody said that these are Caribbean, which would be very, very unlikely and probably illegal. But one interesting thing about how these guys, their tentacles, they're long and stringy, and I've even seen them start to branch. So it's a very, very unique characteristic just to these guys. Also, I have him kind of close by to the next coral, item number 135, which is one of our hammer corals. And in the 5 minutes or so that... Is this a frog spawn? Yeah, looks like it's a frog spawn. Yeah, in the short time that these guys were next to each other, kind of put them side by side here, the guy that's closed up, the Palythoas that's closed up, was eating one of the tentacles off of the frog spawn. So it seems like they've kind of worked out their differences. So that was the purple tip frog spawn for 15, 135. And that brings us to trivia question number 2. And there's a fish-related theme to this whole trivia segment. What is the scientific name for this fish? If you know the answer, tweet at us at Tidal Gardens, #TGLive. First one to win, I think, gets more Coral RX. The theme also for this live show, we've been giving away Coral RX. Last time we gave away gift cards. So we're going to kind of like mix up the giveaways every single show, I think. But if you want some Coral RX, tell me what the heck that fish is. Okay. So the last coral we saw was a purple tip Frogspawn. That was item number 135. 136 is another one. Another purple tip Frogspawn. So these guys are both $15. You can kind of see the two side by side. They're roughly the same size. So if you missed out on the first one and wanted it, here's another opportunity. Okay. Next up, you probably caught a glimpse of it in the corner of the frame, but this is a really cool chalice. This is our pink living lava. He's $100. You probably have noticed that we don't sell a lot of super duper high-end stuff during the frag swap, or the frag swaps, during these live sales, but we try to mix in a few here and there, and this would be one of those. Occasionally you'll see a Scoli, Leptocyrus, that sort of thing. This is one of the nicer chalices that we have right now. Yeah, so speaking of that fish that was in trivia question number 2, the going rate for it is around $40,000. You will not find one for $10,000. Okay, so who got the Twitter question correct? Looks like Robbie. Good job, Robbie. Long time no see. Okay, so hope you guys got a good long look at that chalice. I have to move the camera. Next coral up, 138 and 139. I'm just going to get both of these guys in frame. These are helmet fungias. Fungias are kind of interesting in that they're one of the few corals that are able to move on their own. Most corals don't have that mobility. So if you set these guys on your rocks, they have the ability to kind of like fall off of the rocks on their own. They can kind of scoot around a little bit, and they'll end up either in another coral or on the sand. So we always recommend keeping these guys on a substrate of some sort, and occasionally they will kind of like scoot around that substrate. So these guys are 138 and 139. Each of them are about 1.5 inches in diameter. Okay, next up, we've got 140. $140 is our toxic green Marylina. It's one of the brighter... I don't even know if Marylina is an SPS or anything like that, but it has very, very small polyps, and it's almost Leptocyrus-ish. I'm losing my ability to talk. It's fun. That guy was 140. 141 now is our hammer. And this is our purple tip hammer. He's only $5. Next up, 142. We've got some Clove Polyps. Also $5. Goofy30 is asking, looking forward to see what you guys have planned for the greenhouse updates this year. If everything goes well, we've got some major projects lined up, but nothing has actually been purchased yet, but we are no stranger to completely ripping down a system and rebuilding a very different one in its place. So hopefully we can get a couple of these projects done this calendar year. Next up, item number 143. Another one of the Marilinas. So if you missed out on the first one, here's your second chance at it. $144 is a tiny frag of our Montipora Orangi. It's kind of like a Setosa, except it's encrusting. And there's other subtle differences, but it's one of the brightest of the orange Montiporas, encrusting or branching. And this guy's $20, I believe. Okay, next up, 145. Got one of our neon green Duncans. It looks like he's got 4 heads at least going on. Next up, got 146. So Red Dragon Acropora. I know a lot of SPS keepers out there really had a craving for this. About a year and a half ago, I would say. These used to be well over like $100, $200 per inch. Prices have gone down with a lot of propagation. It's kind of one of the benefits of propagation is it drives costs down. 146 is $30 for the Red Dragon. Right next to it, as you can see, is our Sand Dollar Montipora. And there are 5 of these available. I should also mention the price if you can't already read the lower thirds there. They're $20 a piece. Next up, we're going back to non-photosynthetic land. We've got a Dictiophora? I've never really known how to pronounce this guy. But it's a lace coral, and these guys are going to be a challenge to feed. Do plenty of research before jumping the gun on this guy. I mean, they're one of the coolest looking corals out there, but like any non-photosynthetic filter feeder, feeding has always been the entire challenge of keeping them alive. So that was 148. 149 is a bird of paradise. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are already looking forward to 150, which you can just barely catch a glimpse of. Can you guess it already? Next up, 150. It is our second Scully of the day. This guy's 105. He is 3.5 inches or so. And this guy's interesting in that it's not a solid color like the previous one. There's some purple in there, there's some green in there, a little bit of yellow. All kinds of weird subtleties going on. Okay, so that guy was number 150. So far we have gone through an entire 150. There's 2 more to kind of round this out. 151 is our Crocea Clam. It's about 2.5 inches, I would guess. And that brings us to our very last one. I have to give the camera a little bit of a scoot. So this is an Acropora, but this Acropora has this little guy living in it. So if you pay attention to our site, we typically sell these guys for quite a lot of money, but this particular Acropora only has a single little Pagarita hermit crab all to its lonesome. So if you would like to grab this guy, it's at a significant discount. They're very easy to keep and you can pretty much hand feed them. And Acropora itself is a pretty cool coral. You can see how they use their tentacles to, or not the tentacles, but their antenna to filter feed stuff out of the water. And no, they don't ever come out. They stay in that little cave right there that they make. They kind of burrow into the Acropora. Okay, so one thing I wanted to do, I want to go back for a moment to this, to the Scully. And Matthew is going to hold the mic for a sec. What I'm feeding here is some Fauna Marin LPS pellets. If you've been on our live sale page, we kind of have a couple of different foods that are appropriate for corals. We have this, and we have the Sustainable Aquatics hatchery feed, which is actually intended for small fish, but corals seem to like it quite a lot. This particular thing for the Fauna Marin, it's a special pellet, sinking pellet, as you just saw, kind of targeting these large polyp stonies. While this guy works at it, I could probably just sum up how to go about doing the live sales here. It is almost 5 o'clock now on January 11th, so if you're watching this stream right now and it's not 5 o'clock, you're probably watching the rebroadcast, and unfortunately you won't be able to interact through chat with us. But you can still purchase corals on the live sale page of Tidal Gardens all the way through Tuesday, which would be the 13th, and after that we shut that link off. So once you go there, you can see some of the numbered items that we're featuring on the YouTube channel here. and you can just pick and choose from those. The shipping is a $39.99 flat rate, and it's free for orders over $250. Yeah, so this guy's reacting pretty quickly to that food. Scolies are always a cool thing to feed because they have a really dramatic feeding display. And it happens quickly. This is obviously not time-lapse, it's just live. But within about a few minutes here, I expect this guy will be almost completely open, showing all kinds of new and interesting interior colors, as well as showing its ability to munch up all of these little LPS pellets. So if you have a lot of LPS corals and you haven't tried the Faunameren stuff, it's certainly worth a try. We've been using it for quite a while now, but we're also going to be experimenting with other foods as we go. So if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you probably know that we do different types of feeding videos to kind of show whether certain corals will or will not eat a particular kind of food. And definitely this particular type, the Faunameren LPS stuff, is great for things like scolies, for your Duncans, for your bubble corals, elegances. Hammers, torches, frog spawns are less so, but there's certainly a long list of LPS that do great just on this particular pellet. Okay. So, anyways, that pretty much wraps it up. We've taken just about an hour for part 2 of the January live show. Hope you guys had a good time. I've definitely had a good time just going through this with you guys and answering questions and whatnot. So, yeah. That pretty much does it. If you have any questions, you can either hit me up on within the comments of this YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook. Definitely get on Twitter. We have how many followers on Twitter? We have 342. We need more Twitter followers. So hit me up on Twitter if you're active in that space. Anyways, that's all for tonight. Hope you guys all have a good evening. Take care.